Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host and friend and special guest, Jason Ackerman. Jason, thanks for being here, brother.
I get co-host billing on this episode?
Already, man. I mean, come on. We've known each
Oh,
other for a few years. I'm just going to grant it for you.
I appreciate that.
It sets the bar high, though. Expectations are there.
It really does. Let me get another sip of that coffee.
Exactly. Well, Jason, you're first and foremost, you're a husband, a father of a newborn. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And an owner of multiple successful companies. And one of the things amongst many that you're known for internationally is fitness and nutrition. Tell us a little bit, the guys, listeners, so they can catch up, because obviously I know your background, a little bit more about your background and what it is that you help people with.
International. That adds a whole nother
I'm
host
going to
of
keep stacking on the
pressure.
expectations.
Well, I've been involved in CrossFit for coming up on 15 years now. First, just like many people back in the, old school era of CrossFit, doing it myself, Googling CrossFit, finding the workouts, doing them at random Globo gyms or parks. And then ultimately that led me to open 3 affiliates. I've sold those affiliates and continue to work for CrossFit on their seminar staff, traveling the world, hence the international. It's a little limited these days, mostly regional based out here in Colorado. But yeah, I spent a lot of time training people. Opened a business with my wife that you're familiar with, Own Your Eating. We
Yep.
can certainly dive into the challenges of owning a business with your significant other. But
Been there too.
the relationship is still standing, as is the business. So proud of both of those. And currently, my biggest passion and focus is our company Best Hour of Their Day, where we're coaching CrossFit affiliates. It's one of those unique businesses where it's not very hard, barrier to entry. It's not very expensive. You take a weekend course, which is, in my opinion, the best fitness course around, or at least one of the best. You put a few $1,000s down and you own a business. And it turns out, hey, you need to know a little bit before doing that.
Yeah, details, right? Going into it. Well, I've been there as well. A lot of our listeners are successful business people. Fitness is a passion of them. So I'd love to go down both those routes, man. So let's talk a little bit about being a successful, business owner as you are traveling, but then also something that you take a lot of. I'll use the word pride, if that's okay, in is really taking care of your health and nutrition. And I know you had a cheat meal on your birthday, I saw, but which would be most people's nutritious meal.
And my cheat meals have taken on different forms. Now it's sushi versus mac and cheese and cake and cookies. But before we go any further, I do want to say there was a time, 5-6 years ago, where I learned a tremendous amount from you and your partner at the time, Eric.
Yep.
And that was a huge impact on my development, not just as a human being, but in the business world. So, I do want to thank you for that. That was really a big learning time for me. And, I bring it up because it's twofold. I think one of the things you taught me at the time, whether accidental or on purpose, was the concept of essentialism.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't even remember if the book was out at that point, but I since read the book and his second book, Effortless, both great books. If your listeners are interested in two books, I highly recommend. But bringing up the fitness aspect, I think as entrepreneurs, your listeners can fully understand that monkey brain, that squirrel, the shiny key syndrome, and going back to CrossFit's a very easy business to get into, and no one tells you how to do it right, and you're just chasing your tail. And something I really learned from you was that concept of focus on one thing, put all of your effort into it, do your best at it, then maybe move on to the next, or maybe you no longer need to. So I bring that up because that concept is what allows me to maintain my health and fitness. I think for many business owners, whatever, we get involved, especially in the CrossFit or fitness industry, it's like, oh, you're going to be at the gym all day. You're going to get in such fantastic shape. And then, when you have free time, the last place you want to spend it is at the gym. So
Sure.
your own health and fitness winds up getting sacrificed. And with understanding, hey, not everything is by definition, only one thing can be a priority. I don't
Yep.
remember where I heard it, but it was like this idea of priorities. That's not a real word.
No.
It's priority. So by having your priorities straight, that allows you to focus on the other things. And for me, like you said, health and fitness and finding that time is the foundation. I'll say spending time with my daughter is part of that, equal. I would go back to, if I don't get my own exercise or eat right or feel like I moved today, even that time spent with her isn't as enjoyable.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot through The Powerful Man and the concept of filling your cup first. And so many guys, as men, as providers, we get taught, or we get, at least we think we are, get stuck in this paradigm that we need to go around taking care of everybody else. Let me take care of my wife and make sure she's happy, make sure the kids are happy. And the guys get run down. And when they get run down, they look around like, hey, who's going to take care of me? And they forget that they go, well, what happens is they go to their wife, and Jason, I'm sure you've seen this, and I know you don't do it, but then they go to their wife and like, fill my cup, come on. And they become needy, right? That needy guy is like, oh, I need you to fulfill me, make me happy. And the flip side of what actually works is what you're talking about. You fill your cup up first, and then it can overflow into others, such as your daughter, and spending time with her. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. And again, I want to credit you guys for that. I think when I met you guys, I was still having, what I call, shiny key or squirrel syndrome, and, with the business. And then was like, everything was a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the other concepts you taught me was the Eisenhower matrix of, urgent and important, and all those things. And, these are all, it's funny when I work with affiliates, in CrossFit gyms or anyone in a mentorship role. To me now, these concepts are so obvious and simple. And when someone asks you about like, hey, what do I do for this? I'm like, why are you asking? Like, forgetting that you're now the expert. I've been, even at 43 years old, I'm still a child in my own mind.
Yeah.
And then, and be, remembering I didn't know this at one point, and it's important to get everybody to understand those concepts. And I agree. It starts by filling your cup first. I mean, in the book, Best Hour of Their Day, that's my book about owning a CrossFit affiliates. One of the chapters is called Fill Your Cup First, because there was a period of time as a CrossFit owner, I had to put on my chubby jeans, that I kept in the back of the closet because I wasn't exercising, I wasn't eating right, I wasn't filling my cup first. And the truth of the matter is, while I was taking care of others over me, I still had plenty of time. I was just spending it in the wrong places.
Oh, we can all relate to that. I mean, my background in fitness as well, I had the same thing happen to me. And, it's a similar story, right? Everybody expects you in the gym, you're lecturing, et cetera, on fitness. But then again, the last thing you want to do is go back to work, right? When you're done with work, you don't want to go back to the office, so to speak, and spend your time there. When we talk about essentialism, for you and the way that you see it for yourself as traveling, and obviously when you're traveling, and again, with the pandemic, not as many people are traveling these days, although I just got back from the UK and the planes were full. What are the essential things that a business leader should take in consideration with their workouts and their nutrition, in your opinion?
Ooh, well, I think it's most importantly finding time. And I think many people won't start because the task seems overwhelming. So maybe you've been involved in fitness in the past and you think to yourself, well, I can't, it took so much time and energy and effort to get there in the past, but you don't need to get there again. Like, who you are at 43 doesn't have to be who you were at 33. And there's so many things where I'm like, hey, you don't have 5 minutes. And like, well, of course I have 5 minutes. Well, okay, so can you do burpees in 5 minutes, or can you go for a quick jog? Or, it's like, if I don't have there's the meditation expression, if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, you need an hour. And
Yep.
it's the same principle with exercise. Like, so when I travel, it's first and foremost nutrition. 80% of how you look, feel, perform, maybe even more, is your nutrition. And a concept I talk about a lot is the 4 pillars of health, being sleep, stress, fitness, and nutrition. We need to balance all of those. And in fact, I tell people, hey, if one of those has to go, it's probably your fitness. Like, your sleep, stress, and what you're eating will dictate your health and your wellness a lot more. So focus on that. For me personally, I don't know that everybody needs to do this. I tend to fast most days already, but especially on travel days, it's just, for me, that black and white of it makes it easier. Hey, I'm traveling. I can grab a coffee in the airport. I can chill out in the lounge and drink, even more coffee, or, grab some water there, but I'll eat when I arrive at my destination. Of course, traveling to the UK or international, maybe it's a little long, but opening that window of fasting helps me. And then just finding that time, it's usually, hey, I've arrived, put your luggage down and go. Don't wait. The
Mhm.
longer you wait, the less likely it is to happen.
And it's so true. I mean, traveling, my trip as an example, and to give the listeners who haven't been on the road for a while, I mean, they're serving you Oreo cookies, crap. It's nothing nutritious for you on the plane at all. And you're watching the people around you are just sitting down, antsy, just eating sugar.
Yeah, I flew to Dubai. This is a couple of years ago. And it was amazing. There was like pizza, there was ice cream sundaes. It was like, but, and the other thing about that is you're not hungry. You're tired. You're stressed. You have nothing else to do. So you're just like, yeah, pizza sounds amazing right now. But, you don't need it. And I think, again, I love the black and white of many things, but especially nutrition, where it's like, if I say, hey, I'm fasting, there's no gray. You're not eating. If I say, currently I'm doing carnivore, I'm eating meat. If it's not meat, I'm not eating. So I like those things. And I think nothing's easy. I think something I've been also talking about recently is, and I think I was a big part of the problem with macros. With Own Your Eating, we're primarily macro driven, protein, carbs, fats. There's this notion that it's meant to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see macros and you're like, oh, I can eat donuts. Yeah, you absolutely can. You can't eat all the donuts. You can't eat, unlimited amounts.
Come on.
Yeah, you have to track it. You have to weigh it. You have to measure it. If you're willing to do all that, yes, it's easy. And, what I like to say is it's simple. Same with carnivore. People see, you saw my cheat day. That was perhaps the only time I've ate anything other than strictly meat in the last year. And is it easy? No, of course I want sushi or cookies, or, my wife was pregnant. She was eating ice cream and all sorts of foods. Of course I want those things. It's simple though. This is what you can eat. This is what you shouldn't eat. So I like having that. And I think if you're doing that with travel, it makes it a whole lot easier.
And for those, I like the concepts of the carnivore diet. And for those listening, just to give them a breakdown, because not everybody's got a background in this. Carnivore is essentially, and I'll let you add into this, Jason, but it's eating meat. It's not only beef, but also chicken. It's nose to tail, ideally. So you're eating the liver and everything else for a nutritious meal. And some people will add in cheeses and dairy products or milk byproduct or animal byproducts in there as well.
Yeah, I like to look at it. I always tell people it's like one of those charts where it says, is it meat? Yes. Eat it. No, don't eat it. Right. And you're right. Yeah. It's nose to tail. I personally cut out cheese and realized, that was having a negative impact on my body. And, I think I definitely have some flexibility in there. I'll incorporate some dark chocolate or some almond butter, but again, in my mind, I know where those limits are, and it's never opens up to bread or pasta. So I like it for that reason. I like the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Steve Jobs, where they, had the same outfit every day.
Yep.
There's decision fatigue, and and that's part of why I like fasting too. Like, it's 9 a.m. my time. I don't have to worry about food until 5 p.m. And at 5 p.m., then I'll start to think about it. But the less decisions I have to make, going back to everything that we talked about with essentialism, it's, of cool. I don't have to worry about it. I eat basically the same foods 90% of the time, and it's one less decision. I throw on the same hoodie when I come down to the office every day, and it helps me do the things I need to do and the things I need to put some thought behind better.
I think you bring up a great point because decision fatigue is proven, scientifically proven. And as you know, as business owners, we're making more decisions in an hour than the average employee, and this is an average employee, is making in an entire day or week. So decision fatigue sets in quickly. And my experience, and I'd like to hear yours with business, but also with nutrition and fitness, and you leaned on this a little bit, is people make it so complicated that they'll be like, well, I don't know how many B vitamins I should be getting. So I'm not going to start till I know what supplements I need. Do I need 5 grams of creatine? Do I need a preload? And they'll use these as excuses and barriers to actually do things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to. It's like, okay, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all. And, those little things that are typically what's stopping people from starting are like the 5%, the concept of diminishing returns. If you just focus on what you ate and exercise for 20 minutes a day, you'd be getting 80 or 90% of the results. These other things that are actually, prohibiting you from getting started are not only meaningless, but, for most people, absolutely insignificant in their journey. So again, it's, keep it simple, whether it's your nutrition, and by no means is carnivore the only option, but whatever option you're doing, find something that's simple, that works for your lifestyle. And same with fitness. Obviously, I'm a big fan of CrossFit for that reason. It's pretty short. I mean, most days, especially with the baby, if I get 30 or 40 minutes, that's great. And I can get into the garage, warm up, hit a workout, cool down all within that time. And, the idea of just that minimum effective dose is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's transition real quick. And what I want to talk about is something you touched on earlier. So your wife, Roz, who's amazing. You guys own a business together. I owned a business with my wife. It's a business I owned, and then I got married. And so she came into the business at the time. So we all know, any guy listening to this that runs a business with their partner or is considering it knows how should I say this? The troubled waters that could be ahead. What are some of the secrets that you found to navigate these?
I don't know that I found any secrets, to be honest. I mean, I think the most important one was realizing you're in a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even like you, the nutrition business was pretty much mine. I was running my own. And then when I met Roz and, we got married, we kind of shifted a little bit, but it was the same business that I still felt was mine. So realizing, okay, well, now I have an equal partner who cares about this business, and understanding, so long as you select the right partner, which isn't always the case, even if you're not agreeing on something, they're doing it for what they consider in the best interest of the company.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. So, okay, I don't agree with this, but Roz wouldn't be doing this if she didn't feel like this was going to be beneficial. So, understanding that, and, really with everything I've been doing in coaching and in business, I really have made an effort over the last few years. And again, going back to when we were working together, to be empathetic. And in fact, on a recent client call, one of my clients asked me, he's like, "You're so empathetic. How did you get there?" And I, of course, paused and said, "Can you repeat that in front of my wife?" But it's hard work. And I think that was just a big learning lesson, like realizing I saw, not to get off topic, but in the whole political landscape during the election in, almost a year ago, the country was divided.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner and I, for my current business, have very different political beliefs. And I'm not huge into politics, but enough to, I think that we all know where we were going with this, right? With the presidential election. And people were reaching out to me saying, "How do you deal with him? How is he your partner? Like, you guys, how do you, work together, etc." And I said, my response was always, because whatever you're thinking about whichever candidate you support, Trump or Biden, realistically, the other person feels the same way. Like you might say they're crazy. How can you support this person? But they're thinking the same exact thing about you. And, so long as you're not pushing your ideals and your agendas is on me, that was really what was very eye opening to me. I was like, that, and it was the same in business. I started to realize, okay, that's their belief. They feel this way. So I need to respect that. And it goes to the same with, with coaching. Oftentimes we see a lot of newer coaches wanting to give their members like, this is what you need, this is how we do it, etc. And I'm like, but that's not what they want, and that's not why they're here. So yes, I can tell all of your listeners, hey, fast for 20 hours a day, do the carnivore, do 100 burpees in the morning. And it's like, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, well then let's figure out what's going to work for you. And long way of saying that was a lot of it with her. And then ultimately, um, you know, giving her the authority and being like, hey, let's let you run this and tell me what to do. And that was super helpful for our relationship. I don't think we were ever at the point where it was like, hey, we need to shut this business down or this marriage is going to, fall apart. But it wasn't helpful. And a couple other things that we did were, making sure we spent one day a week where there was no business talk. There was no work on the business. That was really important. Not allowing it to creep into like dinner time, having separate, we use Slack, and it was like, if we were texting each other, it was personal. If it was business related, it was Slack, so lots of those things, separation of church and state.
And that's so critical, right? I learned something similar in my journey later on through the trials and tribulations. Because it's, as a business owner, and everybody listening to this gets this, whether you're a CEO of a company or you own the business, you don't turn off. Yeah. You're showering. What are you thinking of?
When people ask me what's my favorite part about the baby, it's that I have to turn off.
Mm-hmm.
So this morning, for example, the baby was up. Roz brings her in 6:30 in the morning. She had been up with her already, and I'm sleeping. And I'm like, all right, I guess I can't do anything until now. I made a quick cup of coffee 5 minutes before we got on this, but it wasn't. It's the first time in my life where I don't feel, oh man, I'm not doing something. I'm like, I am doing something, and no matter what else is going on, nothing is more important. There's, I was talking about it last night. We have friends in town, and we were saying like, whether it's emails or texts where you're constantly on other people's schedules and other people's agendas. And the baby's the first time where I'm like, this, got to keep this thing alive more importantly than getting back to a client. The client will be there.
100%. And those clients that don't understand aren't clients you need.
That's a I mean, luckily we've got great clients, but it's no different than, we talk to affiliate owners like, oh, you don't get it. They're my buddies. They're my friends. I can't raise their rates. I'm like, well, if they were your friends, they would have no problem paying you what your value is.
Yep. Yeah. It's so true. And then babies are by far, the best presence indicators in the world, right? So the second you're not present, the baby just can feel it. And it's amazing.
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, I'll be feeding her. I'm like, oh, I just checked my text. And then all of a sudden she's like very aware that I'm not, just staring at her. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Great teachers. Jason, you've been so grateful for your time and gracious, I should say, with your time. And I'm very grateful of you. For people that want to find out more about you, your businesses, or just learn more about what's going on at the Ackerman household, where are the best places for them to go?
I think, like everyone, it's just social media. My Instagram is Coach Jason Ackerman. And then our website, Best Hour of Their Day. I don't know if you have many CrossFit affiliate owners that listen, but if you do, that's what, that's our main focus right now. But still happy to take on nutrition clients through On Your Eating. But, realistically, it's just like we've discussed, it's a matter of just helping people, I think, live a more fulfilled life. No one gets into entrepreneurship because they want to work 24 hours a day and not make a lot of money. I always tell people, I've had plenty of clients who are like, hey, let's shut down. Just, you love coaching, go coach somewhere. You don't have to own your own business. Who are you trying to impress with that? So my goal right now is not only to make sure I'm living that, which, spoiler alert, is a day-to-day struggle. Like, I don't want people to think sometimes people listen to you talk and you're like, oh, you've got it all, you do it so well. I'm like, no, I have to deal with my, struggles still. And, but I want to help other people with that as well.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for all the work you're doing. I know you well enough to know that you're helping a lot of people out there live their best as well. So thank you.
Thank you.